Hi guys, welcome back to Fill Your Cup. I am Vanda Farren, and as usual, I am so grateful to be back here today with you all. Today is a very rainy Sunday in Trinidad, and wherever you're looking on from, I pray and hope that you have great weather. I pray and hope that you had a wonderful week and that you're having a great day. If it's your first time, welcome. I post every Sunday on faith and encouragement and inspiration. And if you are returning, welcome back. I do appreciate your support. And as usual, I pray and hope that this word really encourages you in whatever season God has you in. So, this week I have been on a bit of a journey when it comes to kindness. And I do not believe that I really knew the extent of how much our kindness affects our lives and the lives of our children and generations to come. And this week, I believe that that is what God was talking to me about, um, because I kind of pick up this pattern where it's so easy to say that something is annoying or a situation is so irritating. So every time like something would happen, the first thing I will say is, oh my gosh, that is annoying me. Like, I'm so annoyed, or, I'm so irritated. And um, I did not realize I was doing this because it's just so normal. And I think a lot of people could relate that it's just the easiest thing to say, or it's the easiest way to express, how you feel when something is um, irritating or annoying. So after doing it for a while and doing it a lot this week, um, I was in prayer about a couple of mornings ago, and or was it before bed? I believe it was before bed, but I was in prayer, and I felt like the Lord was highlighting to me kindness. And I was a bit confused because I consider myself to be very kind. I mean, we all have our times that we may not be consistently kind, based on sometimes if we are going through things in our own lives, or we are going through difficult seasons, or just seasons that has us very occupied with our personal day to day. So sometimes it may not be as easy to be kind, but overall I would say I consider myself a very kind person. So when the Lord started to highlight this to me, I was, a bit reluctant, because I was like, but I am kind. Like, I think that I'm generous. Um, and I don't consider myself an unkind person. But then, um, as I will say this again, as I keep saying it, this is why we need God, because we are stuck in our own ways sometimes, and what we believe is right most times, or when we believe that we are doing the right things, we are doing the right things, but to what extent? Sometimes that's just the way it looks on the surface, and there is a deeper understanding of it, or there is so much more depth to something that we need to reach to before we can actually access the level of its goodness. And that is what I learned this week, or what I am learning, I should say. That is what I'm learning when it comes to kindness. So um, when the Lord was, talking to me about kindness and was leading me to scripture about kindness, he led me to Second Samuel verses 9, 1 to 13, right? And that was well, Samuel is my favorite book of the Bible, First and Second Samuel, because it's more or less the story about David. And if you have not read it, I will suggest that you do, because it is so very intriguing. It is very it's an eye opener, and it is not boring at all. Like, for people who read the Bible, and there are many books that you kind of get lost and you're kind of bored, like First and Second Samuel is not boring. However, this particular part of it is when David, he was looking for Jonathan's son, right? And just to give a little briefing on it, Jonathan was the son of King Saul, and King Saul was the king before King David, right? And Jonathan and David were really good friends. And there was a point in time when Saul was looking for David to kill David, because David was supposed, God selected David to be the next king. And Saul wanted to kill David. And Jonathan, who is the son of King Saul, he actually helped David to escape, because he and David were such good friends. He was always kind to David, going against his own father. And now this is after the death, because now Saul and Jonathan died in battle, and they now King David is asking the servant of King Saul, are there any survivors of the house of Saul? And the servant actually told David that yes, Jonathan's son is still alive, and I think he was, can't remember exactly where he was, but it was like, like in the ditches, because he was lame, he could not walk. And David sent for him right away, and he told the servants that no matter what happens, Mephibosheth, I think that's his name. So if I didn't pronounce that well, come for me, okay? But yes, so King David, sorry, told the servant that no matter what, he will always eat at the king's table. Like Jonathan's son, he will always eat at the king's table, and he is, more or less supposed to be treated well and stuff. And thinking, so when I read it, I was like, okay, I understand, because when you read First and Second Samuel, like, you will get that whole connection between Jonathan and David, and you kind of understand why David will do that, because him and Jonathan were so close and they had such a good friendship, and David is looking out for Jonathan's son in his absence, in his death. But it went so much deeper, and I've read First and Second Samuel so many times before, but I am grateful that the Lord highlighted this to me, because I believe that God was trying to teach me the depths of my kindness and how it will affect my child and how it will affect her children, and I'm grateful. I'm so grateful to see it in this way, because when I think back on my life, there were many situations, and there were many times that I will, run into different people that may have known my dad. My dad passed away over 10 years ago, but there were many people that would, have known my dad, and they would be like, oh, you're his daughter, and I'll be like, yes, and they will always have something good to say, like, your father did this, or for me, or he was always so kind. They would always have really good things to say. And the same thing for my mom. Like, sometimes I will meet some people that may know my mom, and they'll be like, your mother is so nice, she helped me with this, or she helped me with that. And I believe that we take for granted these things when they're happening, because we don't see it in this perspective. We just look at it like, oh, that's good, it's good to know, and we just move on with our day. But this particular scripture put that into perspective for me, where I started to think about the kindness that I show to the world. Like, how kind I am going to be to the world is going to shape the people that my daughter encounters. It's going to mold and shape her future. It's going to have a part to play in her future, because we won't be here forever. And I don't know what school she'll go to, what university, who she'll meet, all of these things. But life has a way of always bringing us back to people. Like, we're so connected. I think we're so much more connected than we know or than we realize. And I started to think about, like, the people that she will meet. Like, what will they say about me? Will my kindness today open doors for her in the future? And I truly believe that it will, and I truly believe that that is what God was trying to show me, that in my ignorance of always being annoyed, of always being irritated, that I can stop and actually choose to be kind, because I believe that kindness is a choice and kindness should be done intentionally. Because if we are not intentionally kind, will we ever be? If we leave kindness up to our emotions and up to how we feel, how often will we be kind? And then, to go even deeper into this, then I started to study the kindness of God. You know, God kindness can be found in his mercy. His mercies are made new every single morning. That in itself is mind blowing, because his mercies are made new every single morning, despite what you did the day before. You know, it doesn't matter what you said, what you did, who you were, how you treated people. His mercies are made new every single morning, meaning that his kindness is extended to us every single morning, and that is being intentional. Like, God is intentionally kind to us. It's not that he's gonna, a new day is gonna come and he's gonna say, I'm not feeling to be kind to you today. No, his mercies are made new every single morning, and his kindness is shown to us through his mercy. His kindness is shown to us through his grace. His kindness is shown to us through salvation, through his joy, through the peace that surpasses all understanding that only comes from him. So um this week, I just want us to be a little more intentional with being kind. I know it's easy for it to kind of be a trend on Instagram and on social media, where people say, they always post all these different quotes about, if you can be anything in this world, be kind. And there is always just a quote, it's always just a post, it's always just something to say. But how often is it practiced? How often do we practice it? And I will always say we, because I am just as guilty of this. And I'm so grateful for this channel. Because of this channel, I have had the opportunity to sit with God and find out from him what he needs me to talk about. And in that space of finding out what he wants me to talk about, or what encouragement he wants me to bring to his children, I get to find out about things that I am going through. I get to find out about different areas in my life that I need to pay attention to, that I need to address, that I need to pray about, and to share this journey with you all. It's so humbling, and I am grateful, because I am grateful that every single thing that I go through, I don't get to work it out alone, that I get to help someone else while I work it out. I had to change my posture and my perspective from, I don't want to put my business on the internet, to how many people need to be blessed by this? How many people need to know that they are not alone in this? And that is more or less the goal of this channel, to spread kindness by removing myself from the equation, in terms of not being selfish and keeping my journey to myself, and the ways in which God is bringing me through so many different things that not just affects my life, but in turn will affect the life of my child, and will in turn affect the lives of your children, if we do not pay attention to these areas that that affects generations to come. Um, and we just can't turn a blind eye to these things. And I mean, I don't believe that we intentionally turn a blind eye to these things. I think that we live in a world where distraction is so common that we don't have the time to realize kindness. And to elaborate a little more on that, is I believe that we would be way more kinder to people if we experience the kindness of God, right? Now, someone might say, okay, so if I'm not being kind to someone, is it that I'm not experiencing the kindness of God? I do not believe that. I believe God is kind every day. I believe that if we are not being kind, it means that we are so distracted that we are not witnessing and experiencing the kindness of God because we are distracted. It does not mean that God is not being kind. So I would say to pay attention to the kindness of God. And when we experience His kindness every single day, it's going to be so much more easier to be kind to someone else. You know, God is very intentional, and that in itself is a blessing. You know, it's not let me do what I feel to do. And that is the culture we live in. So many people just operate by emotions. You know, I like you today, I don't like you tomorrow. I feel to do this for you today, but I don't feel to do this for you tomorrow. And then if they're angry with you, you don't get help. And then when they're happy with you, they're the best person. But we need to be different. We need to live life based on the word of God, what God says, not how we feel. So even on the day that we are going through whatever we're going through and we are not feeling like the world treated us kindly, we could still choose to be kind to someone else. Yeah? So I pray and hope that this helped someone who's probably dealing with kindness or lack thereof. And I do believe that this will help kindness find you, because when I started to study this particular topic, I started to get like memories started to come back to me on, you know, times that people were kind to me because of somebody else who I knew was kind to them. You know, so for example, if my sister was really kind to someone and then someone meets me, however long after, it could be years after, and then they meet me, one of my sisters, well, I have 4 sisters, but one of my sisters and I, we look very alike. So some people think that I'm her, or some people think that we're twins. So sometimes if someone meets me for the first time and they think that I am her, they will ask me like, "Are you related to Cabrina?" And I'll be like, "Yes, that's my sister." And they would be kind to me because of how kind my sister was to them. And that is so amazing. You know, I did not appreciate that then, but I appreciate it now, because now that I have a daughter, I would love that people will be kind to her because I was kind to them. You know, and I'm not saying to be kind to people so you could get kindness in return. I'm not saying that at all, because I believe that we should be cheerful givers and we should give without any expectation. But I'm just trying to show how beautiful being kind is. Like when you least expect it, kindness will come back to you based on the kindness you put out into the world and based on the environment of kindness that you're a part of. So if you come from a kind family, it's going to come back to you. And in the same way, we should raise our children to be kind. we should definitely raise our children to be kind. Don't limit it to just us as parents being kind intentionally, but make sure our children are there to witness that kindness, because children learn by example. So make sure our children are witnessing all the time that we choose to be kind, and raise them to be kind as well. So yeah, I think that's it. Is there anything else? I think that's it. Yeah. So this was shorter than I thought, but I'm glad that I got to share this with you all, and I pray and hope that you take it into your week and you try to intentionally be kind, and just watch how it changes everything. Like a small step a day changes everything, but we have to be intentional, and let us stop leaving things up to how we feel, and leaving things up to go with the flow. Like, we are not going with the flow. Like, we are intentional. We come from an intentional father, and we are going to be intentional with the way we live and the way we treat people, and the way we want God to be blessed through our lives. We need to be intentional. So let us stop with the go with the flow culture and be intentional. We are not part of a go with the flow God. We came from a very intentional God, and He made us in His image and in His likeness for our purpose, for us to be just like Him. And He is awesome. So let us be like Him. Yeah. So thank you again so much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you want to see more of like my day-to-day stuff, you can follow me on Instagram at Fill Your Cup Official Channel. The link is in the links below. And also at Fill Your Cup 3 on TikTok. You could also follow me there as well, where you can see more of my day-to-day activities and some stuff that I post. And then for my Sunday videos, it's right here on YouTube. So remember to share this with anyone that you believe might need a word of encouragement, or maybe going through a particular season that they think that they are struggling with being kind. I'll be very grateful if you share this, and as usual, I will be praying for all of you. Continue to pray for me and my family. Have a wonderful week ahead, and until next Sunday, keep filling your cup, because you cannot pour from an empty cup. Yeah. So take care, guys. Bye.